Assalamu alaikum, dear students. I hope all of you are fine. We are here with the third and the last part for the drugs for the treatment of diabetes mellitus. And first of all, I would like to thank you all and really appreciate your efforts which you have put in making your classification of oral hypoglycemic drugs. It was very well done, and it's a very important topic since almost in every family, one or other member is suffering from this disease, and there are many newer therapies for the treatment of diabetes, so we should all know about them, because generally when we talk about diabetes, you are the future doctors, so just knowing that there is insulin for diabetes is not enough, especially insulin is for type 1 diabetes and those in type 2 who are not getting treatment from the oral hypoglycemic agents, and their HbA1c is not under the control, it is beyond the range of 9%. Then we move on to insulin, where the other drug therapies or combination drug therapy fail, right? So it is very important, and that is why we have held a test of MCQs on Saturday. I'm repeatedly telling you, reminding you, we'll be having a test on Socrative on Saturday, comprising of diabetes and corticosteroids. With that, we move on to the learning objective of today's lecture. By the end of this lecture, you all should be able to elaborate about the newer drugs for the treatment of diabetes. You should also know about the treatment strategies for diabetes like mono or polytherapy, and even about the personalized treatment. Like according to the weight of every individual, there is different treatment. If a person cannot tolerate a drug because of its adverse effect, then we move on to another drug group, or we can give a combination. We will also want you to compare and contrast various drug groups with regard to its mechanism of action, adverse effects, and other uses other than diabetes. We'll be discussing about important university questions and few MCQs as well. So this is the classification which I discussed with you yesterday, and now we are left with these drug groups, which are, that's amylin analogs, glucagon-like peptides, DDP4 inhibitors, and sodium glucose transporter 2 inhibitors. Now you all know better than me because you have written the classification with your own hands and submitted to the WhatsApp group. So you all must be familiar with these drug groups. This is very important, these newer drugs. Look over the newer drugs for diabetes. How do they act? Whenever there is an intake of food, glucose enters the intestine and there is stimulated release of incretins, which are called the glucagon-like peptide 1. Its function is to cause increased release of insulin from the pancreas. At the same time, they also decrease the production of glucagon from the pancreas. These incretins also cause decrease in gastric emptying time, and they also decrease the appetite. They have central anorectic effect, right? They are causing beneficial effects, but the problem is the GLP-1 analogs like incretins are rapidly metabolized by this enzyme DPP4. DPP4 stands for dipeptidyl peptidase. The examples of GLP-1 analogs, which are incretins, are exenatide and liraglutide. The adverse effects of these drugs are they cause weight loss, severe vomiting, as well as gastrointestinal disturbances, and at high doses they also cause pancreatitis. So this is a very important adverse effects of incretins. What are incretins? Basically, after the intake of food there is release of GLP-1 analogs, and this is called incretin effect, and one of the GLP analogs are incretins, and the examples are exenatide, right? So let's see how can we overcome this problem of metabolism of GLP-1 analogs. Yes, we can inhibit the enzyme DPP4. So we have drugs which are called DPP4 inhibitors like saxagliptin, sitagliptin, linagliptin, vildagliptin. These are all examples of DPP4 inhibitors. Thereby they will cause increased levels of GLP-1, and leading to decreased gastric emptying, decrease in glucagon, and increased release of insulin, and maintaining a controlled blood glucose level even after the intake of food. So these are the benefits of DPP-4 inhibitors. However, they also cause adverse effects like nasopharyngitis and severe headache. Students, these are the newer drugs and these are very important from the examination point of view, right? So let's move on. Other drugs for type 2 diabetes are sodium glucose co-transporter 2 inhibitors. As you can see, there's a transporter on the proximal convoluted tubule of the nephron. Its function is to transport glucose and sodium inside the kidney. So what is happening normally? There is increased glucose and sodium inside, but when we give the inhibitors of the sodium glucose co-transporters, then there is increased release of sodium and glucose, because normally the PCT is responsible for 90% of glucose absorption. So when we give these inhibitors, there is mild osmotic diuresis as well, and the blood pressure of the patient also falls, and there is also weight loss. So they have beneficial effect not only in diabetes but also causes diuresis, so they are helpful in reducing the blood pressure as well. Right, and the examples of these sodium glucose co-transporter 2 inhibitors are canagliflozin and dapagliflozin. However, the adverse effects are they cause increase in appetite, there is increased urination, and there is weight gain as well. So this is the detail about the individual newer drugs. GLP-1 agonist or analogs, in which we have exenatide. It's the first incretin therapy, and these are given injectably and adjunctive to other anti-diabetic drugs. They have multiple actions as you have seen in the figure. Potentiation of glucose-mediated insulin secretion, suppression of postprandial glucagon release, and they slow the gastric emptying time, and they also cause the central loss of appetite. This increased insulin secretion is speculated due to the part in increase in the beta cell mass. So what you have to remember, if somebody asks you, okay, for type 2 diabetes, you give oral anti-diabetic drugs, but you can say they are injectable drugs as well. And the first incretin therapy are exenatide, which are basically GLP-1 agonist, and they have beneficial effects, and you can see how they produce a beneficial effect by multiple mechanisms. Then we have DPP-4 inhibitors. As you have seen the action, what is DPP-4 enzyme doing? It is causing the metabolism of GLP. So we inhibit this enzyme, and thereby they produce a beneficial effect. And the drugs are vildagliptin, sitagliptin, and saxagliptin. Then there is another drug which is called pramlintide. It's a synthetic analog of amylin. This can be asked in your MCQ. Which of the following drug is the analog of amylin? Right? And in this name pramlintide, there is hidden amylin. Right? It is injectable, and it also modulates the postprandial glucose levels, suppresses the glucagon release, and this mechanism is very important. ठीक है, कैसे? It affects the receptor activating modifying receptor, which is called rank. ठीक है, how it activates the high affinity receptors, which are a complex of calcitonin and the rank receptor. ठीक है, when there is any unusual name or combination that is important from the MCQ point of view, like we discussed in thiazolidinedione, they were affecting the EPR gamma receptors. ठीक है, and then you can remember there is ryanodine receptors in malignant hyperthermia. ठीक है, तो rank का नाम जब भी आएगा, this is receptor activating modifying receptor, that is pramlintide. It's analog of amylin. ठीक है, and these are injectables. All these newer drugs which we are discussing are injectable therapy for diabetes, apart from insulin. Remember one thing. It also delays gastric emptying. They have CNS mediated anorectic effects. They cause anorexia, loss of appetite, and they also are able to control the postprandial blood sugar levels. So if we compare and contrast various drug groups which we have covered so far, you can clearly appreciate bigonides, the advantages they causes weight loss, and alpha glucosidase inhibitor, they can reduce postprandial blood sugar levels. DPP4 inhibitors, advantage, they are euglycemic, as well as biconides are also euglycemic. Sulfonylureas, they lower the fasting blood glucose. They have more effect on the fasting levels, so they are to be taken before the meals. Whereas alpha glucosidase inhibitors, they reduce the postprandial glycemia. Postprandial means after the meals. So there's a difference between fasting and postprandial. So you should know this is important from MCQ point of view as well. Then other non-sulfonylureas, they also lower the postprandial glycemia. Thiazolidinediones, they require decrease the insulin requirement. They are insulin sensitizers like bigonides. Okay. The problem or disadvantage with bigonides is they cause lactic acidosis, rare but fatal. Other adverse effect is it targets the GI dysfunction, causes extreme abdominal discomfort, alternating diarrhea with constipation, and there is loss of taste or altered taste sensation rather. And alpha glucosidase inhibitors acarbose, it causes liver and GI dysfunctions, whereas sulfonylureas, they disadvantages cause weight gain and hypoglycemia. Why? Because they are insulin secretagogues. And these meglinotides, they also cause hypoglycemia, whereas thiazolidinediones, they have the chances to cause edema and are contraindicated in patients with heart failure. So these are the comparative features of various oral antidiabetic drugs from the older groups which are also used. So these are basically, if you can say, whenever according to the patient, we modify the treatment according to the weight of the patient, according to his comorbid conditions. So these are called personalized treatment. For every individual, there is different treatment. For example, if a thin person comes to you, you are not going to prescribe him bigonides because they all themselves cause weight loss, right? But if obese person comes to you with type 2 diabetes, after weight reduction and dietary modification, you start him with this bigonides because they cause weight loss. And bigonides, metformin, usually comes with a trade name of glucophage, and nowadays it's being used by many people for weight reduction in cases of obesity and in case of PCOS, which is polycystic ovarian syndrome, right? So these are the uses of these drugs other than diabetes as well, which you should know. This is a very important slide. In type 2 diabetes, what is your treatment strategy if failure occurs? You can start exenatide, which is the incretins, with bigonides and or sulfonylureas. So what is actually happening if you're giving a newer drug with a secretagogue or an insulin sensitizer? And if the patient is on insulin, then you can also give pramlintide with metformin, which is bigonide or sulfonylurea. And if the patient is not responding to any oral therapy when given to its maximum dose, then you can start insulin. ठीक है. So insulin हम देते हैं type 2 diabetes में, but this is the last resort when the oral hypoglycemics are not showing their effect. In cases where there is beta cell exhaustion and the drugs cannot cause the insulin sensitization or the release of insulin from the pancreatic beta cells, then we shift to insulin. Is usually occurring in cases of long chronic long-standing diabetes for more than 10 years. ठीक है. In type 1 diabetes, if there is poor post prandial control of the blood glucose despite of insulin therapy. Then you can add pramlintide as well. And in cases of even type 1 diabetes, you can give thiazolidine diones and bigonides, because these drugs they increase the sensitivity to of the insulin to the tissues. ठीक है, तो ये जो combination agents हैं, this was asked in 4 or 5 years back in the university question कि combination therapy हम injectables किस में देंगे, इंसुलिन हम टाइप 2 में क्यों देते हैं, और what is your steps of treatment strategy, अगर obese patient है तो क्या देंगे, thin lean है तो what would you give, and you should know all the newer injectable drugs for type 2 as well. ठीक है, so I hope this was an easy lecture for you. I tried to simplify it as much as I could, but go through your books and the end of the chapter MCQs as well, and memorize it. It's an important topic, and insulin has been very well covered by Professor Saeed Anwar. And insulin की classification is very important, ठीक है, its adverse effects as well as its mechanism of action, कि किस तरह से इंसुलिन जो है वो synthesize होती है, release होती है, प्री फॉर्म, प्री प्रो, फिर उसके बाद कैसे उसकी सिक्रीशन होती है. सिमिलरली सल्फोनाइल यूरियाज का मैकेनिज्म विच इज़ secretagogue, so it is similar to insulin, so you have to memorize each and everything, students. So let's have some MCQs. A 54-year-old obese patient. Number one, obese patient with type 2 diabetes, history of alcoholism. Whenever alcoholism comes to your mind, you think about disulfiram-like reaction. But hold on, what does it say? In this patient, metformin should either be avoided or used with extreme caution, because the combination of metformin and ethanol increases the risk of which of the following. So you have to answer these questions for your assignment, and these are very easy. Don't rush too much by seeing alcoholism that it's going to be disulfiram reaction, because it's written metformin, so rule out other possibilities. Next is, which of the following drug is taken during the first part of a meal for the purpose of delaying the absorption of dietary carbohydrates? Very easy. When it comes dietary carbohydrates, then you can easily answer the question. This is the PPAR gamma receptor that is activated by thiazolidine diones, increases tissue sensitivity to insulin by which of the following mechanism? If you can recall the mechanism which we discussed in a previous lecture, there was a diagram in which it was showing the action of thiazolidine at the molecular level. So that would be also very easy. This is the question 3. Question is, which of the following drug is most likely to cause hypoglycemia when used as a monotherapy for treatment of type 2 diabetes? So again, you can do rule out which are euglycemics and which ones are hypoglycemic. So this is also an easy question. Very much, students, for being with me, and best of luck for your test on Socrative related to diabetes and corticosteroids. And if any student has any problem related to the content of this topic, you can ask me anytime, and best of luck. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.